What is going on, everybody? My name is LeakyTapsMan and this is yet another This Week in Gaming, where I bring you up to date with the latest in gaming news, rumours and speculation. And I'm going to level with you, not a great deal has gone on this week. It has been an incredibly slow news week, but there are some pretty big ones within that, so I'll get down to it. Now, probably the biggest rumour of the week was that supposedly Final Fantasy XIII-3 is going to be at the Tokyo Game Show coming up in September. This is due to the fact that Square Enix, they've already allocated their floor space, and one of those was the Final Fantasy XIII Saga, as they called it. So unless they've got a pretty big showcase for some DLC, which is probably doubtful, then in all likelihood it's going to be a third game in the series. And considering the first two games in that said saga have sold 10 million between them, a continuation is quite likely in my opinion. I've got to say, I'm not overly thrilled because in my opinion 13 was a pretty big disappointment. 13-2 I've not given a thorough playthrough yet, but I do have the game, so I do plan on doing that. I mean, I'm always up for some more Final Fantasy, but I think it's time to leave the 13 saga where it is. And the next bit of news kind of ties into that one. Apparently, this is just rumour again, but supposedly Final Fantasy XIII Versus has reportedly been cancelled. This was the kind of spin-off game that was supposed to be for the PlayStation 3 only, and was meant to feature a lot of old school Final Fantasy elements like the classic world map. So it had a lot of Final Fantasy fans quite excited, so this isn't great news. And the reason that this rumour stemmed is the fact that they had no floor allocation at TGS, and the fact that they've just not shown anything of the game, or very, very little within the last 6 years. So while it doesn't come as a major shock, it's still a huge disappointment. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, because supposedly the resources for said game have been moved on to Final Fantasy 15, and if I recall correctly, the creator of Kingdom Hearts said that he wasn't going to work on Kingdom Hearts 3 until Final Fantasy 13 Versus was done with, so hopefully we'll see that game come to light pretty soon. Fingers crossed. Another game that seems to kind of be in development limbo was The Last Guardian, made by Team Ico. Obviously they made Ico in Shadow of the Colossus. Well, this week Sony Worldwide confirmed that the game is still in development, it's not been cancelled, and they put it down to technical issues as to why the game hasn't progressed at the same speed that they would have liked. Given that statement, I would be willing to wager that this game will come out in the next generation then, because the game seemed very ambitious for a PlayStation 3 game anyway. But it's still very encouraging to hear that the game is still around and it is not dead yet. Okay, also this week, a new HD collection has been announced for the PlayStation 3. It is the Yakuza games. Yakuza 1 and 2, which were on the PlayStation 2, are going to be bundled in a collection which has reduced loading times, trophies, etc. You know the drill with this kind of thing. Although it's confirmed only for Japan so far, you can pretty much expect an American/European release for these. For those of you unacquainted with Yakuza, they are pretty weird games, but they're actually quite good. They're the closest thing we have to Shenmue in this current day and age, so I fully implore you to go try one of the demos that's available on PSN for Yakuza 3 or 4. And finally this week, I mentioned about how the Battlefield 4 beta last week kind of got leaked on EA's Origin store. Well, EA have come out and confirmed that that is in fact true. The Battlefield 4 beta is coming fall 2013, and EA said that the Battlefield 3 story was only the beginning, so we can assume that the fourth game is a direct sequel rather than a totally different storyline, etc. So I'll reiterate my point from last week. Kind of gutted that they didn't do Bad Company 3, but I'd never turn down more Battlefield, so hopefully this game will be better than the third, which was already really good. So that more or less summarises everything that's gone on this week, and I'll give you the briefest of channel updates. Although I do this pretty much every week now, but they're all still relevant. I am still in the process of making the top 25 games. My list has been changing near daily, so I need to get to a point where I finally put the nail in the coffin and go through with it. So progress has been meagre on that front. As for other videos, I still plan to do the Q&A session, I still plan to do the games that need sequels. I've got a lot of other topics which in future videos I'll ask you to vote on which you'd like to see first. As for this week, I will ask you what kind of gameplay would you like to see to go with my Twigs and other commentaries, not the wish list obviously, since they are pretty much set in stone for the game that I'm doing. And while I'm on the subject of wish lists actually, although I'm going to carry on doing them obviously, they will not be a weekly thing anymore. This has already pretty much happened, but the fact is that I've just literally run out of games to do, and while there are still a lot of games that I can do, I don't want to half-arse it and just do a wish list for the sake of it. I like to do my research, I like to play the game quite thoroughly beforehand and form my own opinion and really learn the craft before I just make a bunch of wild suggestions with no real basis behind them. So I'll reiterate, while wish lists will still very much exist on my channel, they won't be a weekly thing, just so I can put the time and focus in that they require. But anyway, yeah, for this week, just say what kind of gameplay you like to see, whether you like to see Call of Duty, whether you want to see some Minecraft or indie games. I've got quite a few of those, but pretty much any game you name, I've probably got it to some extent, and I'll be sure to take all suggestions into consideration. So thanks for watching. If you could like, that would be awesome. If you could follow me on Twitter, that would be awesome too. And goodbye for now.